know, I gotta tell you guys, people are excited out there. People are excited. And I'll tell you why people are excited. People are excited because there are people in the world who care about their country. There are Americans who care about the United States of America. They are not content with seeing their country flushed down the toilet. And people, one of the reasons I'm excited is because there is such an attack against what these patriots are doing. These people who are now coming forward to take back the country, to do what the popular, I don't know, vernacular would call an American Spring, and really just copying what has been happening around the world, essentially, throwing off the shackles of dictatorships around the world. And it's now being heralded as an American Spring. I mean, it's an amazing thing. And we have leftists out there attacking me personally, attacking P.P. Simmons, attacking us. And all we're doing is interviewing these personalities, these people who are taking the bull by the horns, taking the beast by the horns and saying, enough is enough. I mean, we just can't go on like this. We can't go on bankrupting the country. We interviewed this guy about a month ago when he first began making headlines. And he's a retired colonel, and he served his country with pride and with dignity and with honor. He is a recognized hero. He may never ever say that himself, but he is a hero, folks. And we're talking about none other than Colonel Riley, and he's a retired colonel from the U.S. Forces. We did like a 7-minute bio on the colonel on our first interview with Colonel Riley. So you guys will have to go look that up. We're not going to go into all that today, but I just want to say that we are very proud to have this man on the show once again. And he has come out of retirement. Now, I don't mean he's rejoined the forces or anything, but he has come out of retirement and he has rejoined that body of people who is serving his country. He's serving his country with what he's doing here. Nobody's paying this man to do this. He has come out of retirement to once again serve his country and to protect it from people who want to destroy it. And it just so happens this time around, those people are people from within. America is being destroyed from within. Literally. On purpose. People see this. People know this. It's not just Mike Shoesmith saying this. It's not just P.P. Simmons saying this. Carl Gallups. It's not just us saying this. People high up in the responsibility ladder are saying that Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi and John Boehner and all these Washington, D.C. cronies are destroying the country. And there are many who are stepping up to say enough is enough. We've got one of these guys on the phone here, and we have been blessed to reach him. He's a busy guy. He's in high demand. And Colonel Riley, I'm just so grateful that you've taken the time to spend a few moments with us here today. Are you still there?
Hello, Mike. Yes, still here. Pleased to be with you.
Okay, thanks, Colonel. Hey, it's a great honor to have you on the show once again. We took a lot of time the first time around to tell people who you are and what you're about, and really what a great man you are, and that you've taken this seriously, and you see the problems happening in the United States and really around the world as the greatest country on earth. The country responsibility for the prosperity around the world is really being destroyed from within. And I heard you live on Alan Colmes on Fox News Radio. Alan Colmes, he is a leftist liberal. You were on the show with him, and it was sort of an ambush at first, and he hit you hard in the beginning, but you came back hard at him at the end, and it was a thrill to hear you on there, but he did not give you near enough time to answer the questions. And one of those questions, I want to give you some time to just explain to people, and just take all the time you need to explain the answer to people to the question of, why not just allow the election to stand? I mean, what grounds do you have to attempt to throw this man out of office when he was duly elected by the people?
Well, thank you, Mike. Yes, I was cut off in many instances trying to answer a question he was throwing at me. But the primary issue is the Constitution. The Constitution was ratified in part to prevent tyranny, which I think Obama is involved in. Our Constitution has a series of checks and balances between the three branches that are designed basically to disallow, one branch or any single person from amassing so much power that a person could run the country, run over us as a tyrant. And I think we're witnessing that firsthand with the unraveling of those assurances that our Constitution gives us. Just over the past several weeks, Obama has declared that he has a pen and a phone, and just a couple of days ago, down in, I believe it was Monticello, with the French president or someone, he made the comment that he was president so he could do anything. Anything that he wanted to do, he could do.
Yeah.
So, he has made it clear that he deems it necessary to go around an uncooperative Congress. Unlike the first couple of years when Congress did whatever he wanted, but you have a Congress that doesn't completely agree with him, so he just says, or doesn't act as fast as he wants, so he just says, I'll go around it. So he basically has indicated and issued his intent to use the power of the president to sign executive orders or use his phone or whatever to enforce his agenda.
Yeah.
But by doing this, he's blatantly circumventing, the Constitution and the precautions in it that were vetted to prevent such despotic rule. And I guess probably the best example I can think of, maybe I shared it before, I don't recall, but the perception of a very left-wing supporter of Obama is Jonathan Turley, a professor at George Washington University Law School, a self-avowed liberal. Now, he appeared before the House Judiciary Committee a couple of months ago, and Congressman Virginia asked him, what he thought about the direction that Obama was taking the country. And Professor Turley basically said that Obama's actions, his unilateral modification of acts of Congress, said the danger is quite severe. The problem with what the president is doing is that he's not simply posing a danger to the constitutional system. He's becoming the very danger the Constitution was designed to avoid. That is the concentration of power in a single branch. Now here's a liberal supporter of the president that was never hardly ever had a kind word to say about Bush, is standing for the Constitution. And the Congressman Goodlatte mentioned that whether the president had the authority to unilaterally change implementation dates of a lawfully passed act of Congress. And Turley's response was an undiluted, absolutely no. So you see, there's any number of laws that President Obama, the man in the White House, has taken to either ignore laws that he's responsible to fulfill and enact and follow, or he passes other laws or he modifies laws. So just to clarify, the role of the president, according to our laws and Constitution, he is to faithfully execute the laws that Congress passes. Yeah. He has no power whatsoever to create laws or unilaterally change laws.
Right.
And he can't legally reverse past laws. And he's doing this regularly. So basically, we clearly have a president who he doesn't respect the Constitution enough to abide by it. He has no respect for the rule of law. He wants to use executive orders. And basically, executive orders cannot be used to create new law or to annul or reverse existing law. So, you know, if we have a chief executive of the United States of America who is lawless, why do we want to keep him in there for another 3 years, no matter what the vote was? This individual felt like, you know, there was a time when he was speaking to one of the Russian officials. He said, "Just give me a little time. I'll have more flexibility after the next election."
Yeah.
Well, you know, he does not have flexibility. He has the Constitution binds him to a responsibility, just like it binds the other three branches.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the Congress of the United States have abrogated their responsibility. They're letting Barack Obama run wild,
mm-hmm.
doing all these things, failing to abide by his constitutional duties. So we have a president who is a tyrant. He's a dictator, basically. He's trying to establish a police state. So he must go. He's a violator. He's a threat. He's the domestic threat that our Constitution reminds us all about when we take our oath. Congress takes that oath. Unfortunately, military, when we take our oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, we know that it means our life. Congress, the only thing it means to them is they get their nose in the trough. So there's why we have, that's why we're saying the last election has totally been destroyed by Barack Obama's he just totally is not following the Constitution and the laws he's supposed to follow. And I think if I haven't outlined them here well enough, I don't know how else you can do it, because it's pretty clear on everybody's face. They know what he's doing. We just have to accept it and try to do something about it.
Doesn't the U.S. Declaration of Independence make the bold statement that Americans have the duty to throw off the shackles of tyrants when they take over, and there's a long line of violations against the country? Isn't it true that that even the Declaration of Independence itself says that Americans have a duty to throw off the shackles of tyranny when such a dynamic exists in the country? Now this was brought up in the interview with Combs, and he essentially said, yeah, well, getting rid of the tyrants happens during election season. Do you see that differently?
Yes, I see it differently. I mean, we can be a completely law-abiding citizen today, but if we go out and rob a bank tomorrow, that doesn't mean that we ignore the fact and just let things proceed as if nothing happened. Mm-hmm. Obama was elected, but what he has done, and he's escalating his lawlessness since he was reelected. We have to take that into account. We can't allow it to continue. And yes, the lawbreakers must be held accountable. It's not about the government. The government, the founding fathers gave us is solid. It's secure.
Right.
It's when you have people who get into these positions and decide that their ego or their self-serving agenda or whatever it is that drives them is more important than following the Constitution and their lawful responsibility, then the Constitution calls for removal. It calls for removal. Mm-hmm. You cannot do these things. You cannot do treasonous action like Obama did in supporting the Muslim Brotherhood into office over in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
This Muslim Brotherhood is a group that's advocating overthrow of the United States of America. They're a terrorist group.
Sure.
And he sent all kinds of money. He sent all kinds of equipment, weapons over there. So this is an individual who has violated the Constitution from treason down to, small misdemeanors. He's got to go.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Our Constitution demands it.
And there are eligibility issues with, we're not going to get into that today, but there are certain eligibility problems with Barack Obama. We don't even know what his last name, what we should even call this man. Sobarka, Sotoro, Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. We don't even know what this man's real name is. There are a trove of, well, we're going to get into that in a couple of months here, actually, but let's just stay on topic for now. There is going to be a conflation of events happen here. Your event is going to begin in May, but prior to that, there is a scheduled release of information concerning Barack Obama's eligibility. So hopefully, Colonel Riley, that event will spur people on to join up with your event. I'm hoping that what the cold case posse, which is run by Sheriff Joe Arpaio in Arizona, what he reveals in March, it may only be regarding the eligibility material. It may not be. There's two ongoing investigations concerning that, and they're running sort of parallel with each other. One came out of the other. The greater one is not the eligibility issue is a done deal. They know for sure that the birth narrative proffered by the White House is fraudulent. They know that without a shadow of a doubt. But there is another investigation that was launched out of that. Information came out of that investigation, which is Mike Zullo, the lead investigator, calls it universe-shattering. So we are anticipating all of that to happen simultaneously with your event. And hopefully this will drive people into the streets, an unarmed revolt against this tyrant in the White House. But I sort of liken it like this. People get a lease for an apartment, and they are entitled to stay in that position until the lease expires. But there is grounds for eviction when certain acts are perpetrated against the property. Barack Obama has a 4-year term, but he has committed acts of treason which constitute grounds for eviction from the White House. I mean, that's the way I look at it. People can look at it that way, that yes, he was elected. Even the election itself is highly suspect. There was fraudulent activity going on, which probably is what responsible for getting him into the White House through the election process. But now we are instituting, Colonel, an eviction process. Is that a good analogy?
A very good analogy. And the Congress has a responsibility to enforce that analogy on Obama.
Right.
Unfortunately, the Senate in the United States Congress, they're part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Reid over there, he also views his position as a little tyrant, a despot, a dictator.
Yeah.
He will do what he decides he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm convinced at this point that even if the House of Representatives identified bills of impeachment, passed an impeachment bill, and sent it to the Senate, Harry Reid wouldn't even act on it. And if he did act on it, he would bring it up. The same thing would happen as happened to Bill Clinton. He was impeached, but when the trial was conducted in the United States Senate, the Democrats just sided with the president and paid no attention to the facts and exonerated him.
Yeah.
And I believe the same thing would happen to Barack Obama. So the only way that he's going to be moved at this point is through some earth-shaking universal event like you just mentioned from the Sheriff Arpaio investigations, some massive, gigantic move to action presentation in Washington, D.C. by 10 million people or more. 10 million of we the people. It's not about, certainly not about me. This thing is being pushed up the line by the people in the United States who said, we've had enough of this. We have seen all this. We know what this man in the White House and basically what the politicians are doing. And that means all of them, not just Democrats, but Republicans too. Like you mentioned earlier, Boehner's part of the problem. He takes no action. He sits over there like a mushroom in a corner. The Attorney General, who is under his constitutional responsibility, is supposed to be an arbiter for the people. He's supposed to be someone who is neutral, who actually looks at the law and enforces the law. Mm-hmm. Well, that is going by the wayside. Every time you turn around, the Justice Department is suing states because states are trying to take care of their people and doing things which strengthen the Constitution, which strengthen our sovereignty, and they go down and sue them. They intimidate. So this lawless group at the federal level has gotten so out of control that they have created chaos in our nation. And we cannot allow it to continue. I believe once we start this gigantic group in Washington, D.C. on May the 16th, the rest of America is going to see it. I just can't believe the news media can ignore this huge, gigantic gathering. Mm-hmm. The rest of America is going to see it, and they're going to pile in on the rest of us. They will come up there, or they will start piling in on their states or something. They're going to come out of the woodwork. It's going to be an event that is going to be, it is indeed going to be earth-shaking, because D.C. will be shut down. It can't be ignored. It's going to be a gigantic town hall for freedom, liberty, and the United States Constitution in our nation.
Well, I'm excited, Colonel. People are getting excited. I just want to clear something up, first of all, though, that you are not coordinating with Arpaio and the Cold Case Posse and Mike Zullo. You're not coordinating with them at all, are you?
No. I know. No. All I know about is what I read in the newspaper. I talk to no one.
Yeah, but there seems to be now. P.P. Simmons, we're covering both events. P.P. Simmons is not being consulted by you. We are not being consulted by Arpaio and Zullo and the Cold Case Posse. These people are not consulting us. We are an information gathering network, and we report on all this stuff. And we're not solely interested in this, but I mean, this is what's happening in the world. This thing in spring, folks. This thing that's going to happen this spring. When you conflate everything that is building up toward the spring, now you heard the Colonel say that we are not necessarily in favor of the outcomes of the Arab Spring. We're not in favor of the fact that the Muslim Brotherhood has taken over vast sections of the Middle East. We're not in favor of that. We're not in favor of these outcomes. We're just saying, look, these people were successful in ousting elected leaders. They were successful in doing that. Look at Morsi. He was elected by the people and kicked out by the people. He was evicted, essentially. And when the Colonel and the millions of people that are going to show up in Washington, they're going to show up with a proverbial eviction notice, and they're going to say, "It's time for you to get out. You know, you were elected by the people. Whether it's legitimate or not, we don't know." There's a lot of evidence that points to the fact that it was not a legitimate election outcome. But at the end of the day, this is your eviction notice. It's time to get out of the White House. It's time to get out of the people's house. And so we applaud you for that. We are covering this. These actions that these people are formulating. One is a criminal action. This is an uprising on the people's side with the Colonel Riley and others, by the way. The Colonel's not the only one leading this. But let's move on here, Colonel. Give us an update. We're going to close with some your thoughts on what's happening with Homeland Security, and there seems to be a buildup of they're buying millions of rounds of ammo once again, on top of the billions they already have, and they're buying sniper ammo now, hundreds of thousands of rounds of sniper ammo, and the National Guard in Ohio is preparing to fight people who let's take a look at that real quick. The Ohio National Guard is training with envisions of right-wing terrorism, and documents from an Ohio National Guard training drill conducted last January reveal the details of a mock disaster where Second Amendment supporters, gun rights supporters, with anti-government opinions were portrayed as domestic terrorists. Now, you are not anti-government, right? So this really doesn't concern you, I'm guessing.
No, I'm not anti-government, of course not. What we're anti is illegal people who are in the government.
Yeah, because you say the government works just fine. It's people who are violating the tenets of the structure of the government itself. Those are the people that have to go. And you're not making this a party issue. You're naming names. Boehner's a Republican, and he's on your list of people who has to go. You just want a clean house.
Oh, certainly.
Right. I mean, you just want a clean house and put people who respect the Constitution in the White House, in the office of those who are running the country.
Exactly.
Yeah. So give us an update now. Go ahead.
Okay. With regard to our movement, obviously we've been and still are in the mobilization phase. But what we're seeing now, as you indicated, tremendous energy. We've got the media across the nation not the mainstream media, so-called, but people who are concerned about our nation, who love our nation, who love freedom and liberty, are flocking to this because it reflects an opportunity to actually get something done, to create a massive outcry from the people, that Washington can see and hopefully comprehend how widespread and how sincere America is, how fearful we are about our government's condition and status. Right now, we've got the 50 states. We've got state groups in every state that are in various stages of preparation for their movement to D.C. They're basically in the process of planning their stays, planning when they're going to be there, planning what they're taking, working on buses, carpools, and the like, and states are coordinating across state lines even. We've got people from Washington State, for example, that have already made reservations in, say, Bull Run Campground in Virginia. They're already planning, making the reservations, determining how it is they're going to be able to take care of themselves personally for a week or 2 weeks or the duration of the event. We're also seeing landowners, particularly in a couple of instances in West Virginia, where one has a big park that he's going to donate to anybody that is coming through West Virginia. They can use it as a staging area or as a place to stop by. Mm-hmm. There's another area a couple hours west of D.C. that's considerable acreage where people could stop in or they can camp there. There's nothing there but open fields, mm-hmm. but it has water and space. So, we're seeing an awful lot of energy, and we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg right now. We know that there's going to be unknown numbers of truckers, unknown numbers of bikers that are coming in.
Wow.
I mean, we know that that Rolling Thunder always rolls in there on Memorial Day, a week after we begin our event.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt that that this is just gaining tremendous momentum, and it's exciting to see that we the people, and it's not being led by any corporation or any big name individual who might be trying to co-opt the event for personal or agendas or any of that kind of thing. There's no donations involved. I know IRS would be on us like stink on you know what.
Yeah.
If we were doing that,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be it's not going to be easy for we the people. It's going to take a lot of determination, courage, and personal sacrifice. And we're getting our backpacks. We're going to put water in them. We're going to put dried food in there. Probably little portable porta potties that we just hang on our belt. So this is something that people are just hardcore about. We're coming up there with the determination, with the Constitution and our Bible in our hands, and it's not going to be. There's not going to be weapons involved. We're nonviolent. We're simply we the people exercising our constitutional rights of free speech, freedom to gather, and our ability and our constitutional right to present our demands and grievances.
Yeah, and you're going to be making demands. One of those is that from Barack Obama on down, you're not leaving until they do, until you see them packing and leaving with their bags under their arms or with their servants carrying their bags. You're not leaving until they leave, right?
That's it. And one other kind of significant event is I've been on the Wiley Drake show, and he's got a train that's leaving L.A. and going to D.C., leaving there on the 12th. As it turns out, God has orchestrated this to where it fits right in with Operation American Spring. He's making 49 stops across the United States where people can get on. I'm not sure what the fees are or anything like that, but WileyDrakeShow.com, they can figure it out. But it's that attitude and that involvement that makes this so encouraging and so just so heart. It just grips your heart to know that we the people are going to rise up, and basically we are going. It is a revolution, not with guns and pitchforks, but with our bodies and boots on the ground.
Now, you mentioned some places, some geographical places where people are going to be able to stop, do a pit stop, use the facilities. Are the addresses and directions and all of that going to be available on your website as the date comes nearer and nearer?
Yes, absolutely. We will. We've got quite a bit of information right now on both our websites, patriotsforamerica.ning.com, and also the new website, OperationAmericanSpring.org.
Okay.
People need to join. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And once they get on there, they can go to the forums where they can click on the tabs and find a lot of information already on there with regard to guidance, medical, security, like maps, hotels, motels, all that kind of stuff right now. So they can go there and get an idea of what we're offering.
Now you're not suggesting. I want to clear something up here. You're not suggesting an armed revolt, but are you suggesting that people not exercise their Second Amendment rights? Are you saying necessarily that people must leave their guns at home?
Well, you can't. It would be illegal to bring guns into Washington D.C.
Right.
I understand that that's a gun-free city. So I'm not talking about what persons should do or should not do. We're simply saying that our gathering in Washington D.C. is to be an unarmed, nonviolent, peaceful gathering. So well, I don't know how
it's important. It's important to clear that up because the getting back to the story of Homeland Security buying up all these rounds of ammo, and you've got the Ohio National Guard training to I don't know, fight against Second Amendment supporters with anti-government opinions. I wonder, that may be I don't know, turned. I don't know. It's possible. I've been asking the question for months now, years even, ever since this Arab Spring got started back in Tunisia, when the guy who owned the cart lit himself on fire. I mean, that's what sparked the whole thing here. Ever since then, I've been asking the question: how would Barack Obama react if he was treated the way Bashar Assad's being treated in Syria, where these terrorists are coming against him? And Obama is pro-terrorist in that respect. He's saying, look, we are in favor of what the rebels are doing. We want Bashar Assad to resign as president of Syria, right? Now, you are essentially, without the weapons, you are essentially going to Washington, D.C., and saying, the American version of Damascus, and saying, look, get out. It's time for you to do what you want Bashar Assad to do. It's time for you to do that. You first, Barack, right? You're saying you first. So I'm just wondering how, this is all going to be very interesting, but we just need to make this perfectly clear. This is not an armed revolt against the White House, against the government. And so we're saying, look, this stuff that's going on in Ohio and whatnot, none of that should involve what you guys are doing. It's all legal. You're well within your constitutional rights. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Right, okay.
But we shouldn't be surprised that this type of thing is going on, because Barack Obama is basically a socialist. He's a communist. He's a dictator.
Yeah.
Now, what do dictators do?
They dictate.
They want to attack those individuals, those citizens who might rise up.
Right.
If in fact, their constitutional rights, or they're being penalized, they're being treated like pests, of which they do.
Right.
Even early on in his, right when he took office, Homeland Security came out and warned law enforcement agencies that they expected a rise in, quote, right-wing extremism, unquote.
Yeah.
That it'd be fueled because they were going to propose imposition on firearms, restricting things, restricting weapons, weapons bans, and that type of thing. Well, so the government is the one that wants to remove weapons from citizens who are peaceful, who are lawful. The Constitution doesn't allow that.
Yeah.
The Constitution gives us a Second Amendment, but they use all kinds of scenarios in these plots or these operations, these exercises. They use them against people who they have no reason to do it. They should pick out, some scenarios where they include people like Islamic extremists, or Bill Ayers, or even some of the people in the White House who support Bill Ayers, who bombed our own country, who killed our own people.
Right.
And Bill Ayers is tied to Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Axelrod, Sherrod, all kinds of people in the White House.
Yeah.
The White House has Muslim Brotherhood people on the staff. Give me a break.
Right.
This guy is the lawless. He is the Bashar Assad. Of course, we want him out.
Right.
Because he reflects all of the traits and characteristics of a dictator.
Right.
So hey, it's not surprising. We're not going to be. Basically, patriots are sufferable. We have suffered this stuff for 5 or 6 years, more than 6 years now, trying to do something through Congress, through every media, and we're down to the point now where we believe we have one more shot at trying to resolve this thing, get some of these people out of there that are destroying our nation, and do it in a peaceful, unarmed, way in Washington with this gigantic, massive. If the people do not rise up, if we do not do it, it's going to add fuel to Barack Obama's belief that he can do whatever he wants to, like he said at Monticello. I'm the president. I can do whatever I want to.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing you say that because just recently now, I think it was yesterday, Rush Limbaugh suggested that Barack Obama may not even leave in 2017, in January. He may not even he may just stay on as president just by fiat, just by dictate. And this is coming up more and more from people with higher and higher levels of credibility are saying, look, it's possible that this man may just dictate himself another 4 years. So it may be now that you are absolutely right. This may be America's only final option here, the eviction option. Listen, Colonel, it's always an honor to speak with you. Honestly, it's overwhelming, in fact, because I know who you are. I know your credibility. I know your credentials. I know where you've been in life. I've read up on you, and I really look forward to getting you on perhaps even a week or two before May 16th, just to sort of catch people up on where to go for information and how to get on board with this in the final last moments. Do you have any closing thoughts for the people here?
Well, only to say that you indicated that P.P. Simmons, you and others are being attacked.
Yeah.
I'm being attacked. The OES is being attacked.
Right.
We got some really radicals out there that that are attacking individuals who are basically seeking freedom and liberty for our nation, like
Right.
we've had for over 230 years. So we're being noticed. That's for sure.
Sure.
But we're really going to be noticed in May. I would ask individuals to do what they can each month leading up to May, to have demonstrations at home, in your town, in your state, to have rallies, to pass out flyers that we have on our websites, to write letters to the editor, to call in talk shows in your local areas. Let people know that basically Operation American Spring is an attempt to restore liberty, freedom, and our Constitution to a nation that has gone down into the abyss.
Well said, Colonel. Colonel Harry Riley, everybody. My name is Mike Shoesmith. You've been watching P.P. Simmons Television. You have not heard the last of this, folks. Get on board. We'll talk to you next time.